What is up, guys? This is your home for everything purple and gold. Stop everything you are doing right now because the news I just got for you is going to shake the foundations of our defense. We are talking about a legend, a guy who has been the soul of our secondary for over a decade, and he might finally be hanging it up. But that is not all. The front office is already looking at a massive replacement that could cost us over $50 million. This is a total game changer for the future of our franchise, and you need to know the details. Are you ready for this? Before we dive into the deep analysis, do me a huge favor. Smash that like button right now. Subscribe to the channel to never miss an update, and I want to see everyone in the comments right now. Tell me your name and the city you are watching from. I want to know where our nation is represented. Now, let's get into the business side of things and see what is actually happening behind the scenes. According to league sources and detailed reporting from Alec Lewis of The Athletic, the Minnesota Vikings are bracing for a period of significant transition that could see the departure of one of the most iconic figures in the history of the organization. Harrison Smith, a six-time Pro Bowler and a perennial cornerstone of the Vikings defense, is facing a crossroads that could define the next decade of the secondary in Minneapolis. As we look toward the 2026 offseason, the reality is that the decision for Smith to remain with the team may rest entirely on his own shoulders, rather than the front office's preferences. At 36 years of age, Smith has reached a point where retirement is a legitimate conversation, and should he decide to hang up his cleats before his age 37 campaign, the Vikings will be forced to fill a void that is both emotional and tactical. Smith has spent his entire 14-year career with the franchise, a rarity in the modern NFL where player movement is constant. His presence in the locker room and his leadership on the field under Brian Flores' aggressive defensive scheme have been invaluable, even as his physical stats naturally shift with age. However, recent weeks have shown that Smith still has plenty of gas in the tank, looking healthier and more like his dominant self in the back half of the season. This creates a fascinating dilemma for general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. The Vikings currently face a projected salary cap deficit of approximately $36 million in 2026. This financial reality means that tough choices are coming. While Harrison Smith is under contract through 2026 at a base salary of just $1.3 million with a prorated bonus of $3 million, the team could potentially save $6 million against the 2027 cap by moving on. But the real story isn't just about who is leaving, it's about the massive investment required to replace a legend. The market for high-end safeties is skyrocketing, and one name that has surfaced as a potential target is Bryan Cook of the Kansas City Chiefs. Cook, at 26 years old, represents the youth and athleticism that the Vikings need to maintain their aggressive defensive identity. However, acquiring a player of Cook's caliber will not be cheap. SpotTrack currently projects Cook's market value at a staggering $57.5 million over a 4-year contract. This would be a monster investment for a team already struggling with cap space. Cook is ranked as the 6th best safety out of 99 qualifying players by Pro Football Focus in 2025, proving that he is a premier talent in this league. The Vikings' interest in Cook or other free agents like Quentin Lake of the Rams or Alohi Gilman of the Ravens highlights a realization that the internal depth might not be enough. While the team has given 2023 fourth-round pick Jay Ward more opportunities recently, there is a clear sense that a blue-chip talent is required to fill Harrison Smith's shoes. This brings us to the NFL Draft. Field Yates of ESPN has already begun projecting the 2026 class, and one name that stands out for the Vikings is Caleb Downs from Ohio State. Downs is widely considered a generational talent at the safety position. He has been playing in an NFL-style scheme at the collegiate level and possesses the versatility to cover deep middle zones while also acting as a menacing presence in the box against the run. The challenge for Minnesota is draft positioning. If the season ended today, the Vikings would pick around 15th overall, while Downs is projected to be a top 10 selection. Trading up for a safety is a move that fans might find controversial, especially with other needs on the roster, but Downs is the type of playmaker that changes the geometry of a football field. We must also consider the tactical impact of losing a player like Smith. Brian Flores relies heavily on safeties who can disguise their intentions until the last possible second. Smith's football IQ is arguably the highest in the league at his position, allowing him to bait quarterbacks into turnovers that other safeties wouldn't even see coming. Replacing that level of experience with a high-priced free agent like Bryan Cook would bring more speed and range, but there is always a learning curve when integrating into a system as complex as the one Flores runs in Minnesota. Financially, the 2026 season will be a tightrope walk. We are likely looking at the departures of veteran stalwarts like defensive tackle Javon Hargrave and running back Aaron Jones as the team tries to balance the books. Keeping Smith is actually the cheaper option if he wants to play, but if he retires, the team must decide whether to go with a budget-friendly internal option like Jay Ward or break the bank for a $57 million star. Historically, the Vikings have not been afraid to spend big in the secondary, though the results have been mixed in recent years.
The selection of Lewis Seen in the first round was intended to be the succession plan for Smith, but injuries and development issues have left that plan in tatters. This makes the potential pursuit of Brian Cook or the drafting of Caleb Downs even more critical. The organization cannot afford to miss on the safety position again, especially as the rest of the NFC North continues to load up on offensive power. Looking at the long-term roster construction, the Vikings are in a pivot year. They have their quarterback of the future, and now they must ensure the defense remains elite to support him. Harrison Smith's decision will be the first domino to fall. If he returns, the Vikings gain another year of elite leadership at a bargain price. If he leaves, the front office must be aggressive. A $57 million contract for Brian Cook would signal that the Vikings are in win-now mode, willing to sacrifice future cap flexibility for immediate defensive stability. On the other hand, moving up in the draft for Downs would signal a youth movement designed to build a foundation for the next 5 to 7 years. As we track these developments, we have to look at the statistical comparison. Brian Cook has shown elite tackling efficiency and a high ceiling in man-to-man coverage, which is a requirement in the modern NFL. Smith, while still effective, has transitioned more into a traditional robber role. The shift from Smith to a player like Cook or Downs would fundamentally change how Brian Flores calls a game. We would likely see more split safety looks, and perhaps even more versatility in how the sub-packages are deployed. In conclusion, the Minnesota Vikings find themselves at a historic juncture. The possible end of the Harrison Smith era is not just the end of a career, but the end of a defensive identity that has defined the team for over a decade. Whether the solution is a $57 million free agent splash or a high-stakes draft pick, the pressure on Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has never been higher. We will be monitoring the waiver wires, the scouting reports, and the retirement rumors daily. This is going to be one of the most intense off-seasons in recent memory, and every decision made in the next few months will resonate through the halls of US Bank Stadium for years to come.